Taiwan. Along the Southern Cross Island Highway, 17 bridges were broken and 8 villages were cut off. Qinghe village was split in two by a raging torrent. But as we find out in our next story, some villages are starting to return their mountain homes.
This small truck is full of luggage and the sound of laughter. From the foot of the mountain back to the top is just over a 2-hour drive, but it's taken this family 6 months to get home. Back home, as they quickly unpack their belongings and put them away, memories of the disaster 6 months ago come flooding back.
From
the 6th and 7th, there was no power until the 14th. On that day, we found out how serious it was here. We stayed in the house because the road was down. We couldn't even get next door.
This is Gaozhong Village in Taoyuan Township. In the 6 months since Typhoon Morakot, water, power and the roads have gradually been restored. The government says this area is safe. But when they see the state of the river, the villagers say their real home is not what it used to be.
We used to conduct regular patrol here every day because there were lots of fish here. But if you look at it now, there's not even one drop of water.
Travelling from Gaozhong village further into the township along the river, on either side, behind the yellow warning tape, there are machines working to clean up the riverbed. Du Shuiqiu lives in the badly damaged Qinghe village.
I wanted to go home. I started walking from Baolai and kept going. Later there were cars, and now the road is open.
Back at home after living for several months on the plains, Du says he experienced the most valuable lesson in his life.
We try to forget and remember the beautiful things like when we saw Tzu Ji or other charities that came to comfort us. If we remember that, it will be good for our health.
Within a few short minutes, Typhoon Morakot claimed the lives of over 20 villagers. 2/3 of the remaining residents have already moved to the plains. Turning the clock back to 3 years ago, Da'ai Television came to Namashia Township to interview a volunteer conservationist. The activist is still here, but virtually everything else has changed.
It came down first over there, right? And blocked the flow of Nanzixian River. Then it collapsed here at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on August 9th. So all the debris in Namashia Township, up the mountain as well, couldn't come down. So it all built up on top of Xiaolin.
6 months later in Namashia Township, time seems to have stopped at the moment of the disaster. 2/3 of the buildings are still buried. The mountain range has been pushed out of place and stripped of vegetation. Rock slides raised the height of the riverbed by 10 stories, but was a controversial water channeling project to blame.
The channel project destroyed the water table under the mountain. After it was destroyed, we have seen in recent years from Jiaxian up to here, on the steeper parts of the mountain. It's always those places that collapsed. If the mountain water runs dry, won't the steeper places collapse first?
Half a year is not long enough for the mountain to recover, but in these 6 months the local indigenous people have been determined to return home, in the hope that the lives that were sacrificed here will help the public appreciate the need to respect Mother Nature.
On the 10th of February, a day before disaster victims move into Sanlin Da'ai community, the indigenous residents celebrated by making a traditional dish called muaji, which is made of glutinous rice and water. On the other side of the community, the Han Chinese cook rice dumplings, which are also made from sticky rice. Both dishes represent unity. Whether they are on the indigenous side or the Han Chinese side, both communities in the Dai village share the same joy as they prepare to move into their new homes.
Volunteers hand the keys over to the residents as they are about to move in. 6 months after Typhoon Morakot, the disaster victims are finally moving into their new home. The indigenous people celebrate by making mochi, which is a traditional dish of glutinous rice and water.
It's a special day because our indigenous people are moving into the Da'ai community and we are all very happy. We celebrate by making mochi. It represents no boundary between different people.
The more sticky mochi gets, the tastier it becomes. On the other side of the community, the Han Chinese people makes glutinous rice dumplings.
The glutinous rice dumplings symbolize the union between the neighborhoods. We rub the rice dumplings. The word rub in Taiwanese means soothing, and Master Zeng Yan's great love has soothing effects.
Both indigenous mochi and Chinese rice dumplings symbolize union. Sanling Dai community brings the Aboriginal and Han people together.
After Typhoon Morakot left Taiwan last August, the island's military force immediately leaped into action, mobilizing to the disaster-affected areas to help clear damaged roads and assist survivors with the restoration of their wrecked communities. On Tuesday, February 9th, nearly 1,000 servicemen showed up at the Sanling Dai community to help lay down the bricks for the roads.
Under the tropical winter sun, after a few hours of graveling and paving the walkways here, these young servicemen are thoroughly drenched in sweat.
What a good workout. It's great to work up a sweat because I'm helping everyone here.
Passing along the weighty bricks, then carefully laying them into place like a huge puzzle, the military officers are here working with joy. In the aftermath of last August Typhoon Morakot, these servicemen arrived as rescue workers. Now, half a year later, they continue to serve.
I'm very excited because I'm helping the people here. I feel really good about it.
Tzu Chi is building a beautiful environment for the displaced flood survivors. My team and I are thrilled to be part of the workforce.
A force of strength and reassurance, these members of Taiwan's military force are expressing their own love for their fellow Taiwanese by laboring here, helping to build solid homes for the victims of the 8/8 floods.
Even as the contractors and their employees have rushed the work by putting in much overtime, volunteer contributions have played no small part in assisting the progress of the Dai community. On an average day, there are always about 1,500 volunteers and participants in Tzu Chi's Work for Relief program on site working together with the construction crew. Thanks to a team of Tzu Chi volunteers for acting as site administrators, that everyone is.
With heavy machinery lumbering back and forth across the site, the scope and organization here is apparent. All to provide permanent homes for survivors of last August's flood.
I've been in Tzu Chi for so long to know what the master wants us to do and how to get it done. Whenever someone recommends for a job, I will do the best I can.
Always carrying a backpack full of blueprints and maps, Chen Jingtai is always patrolling Sanling Dai community on his bike, taking on the responsibility as the site administrator. He dispatches volunteer forces and solve any arising conflicts. The man with the walkie-talkie is Tzu Chi volunteer Liu Jingyong. Burned black by the exposure to the sun, since he first enlisted to work in the Dai community, Liu has never really been absent.
If you're going to be the master's disciple, then you must try to keep up with her. That's why I came. Our team has an understanding. No matter how hard things get, we must see this job through to completion.
When surveying the roadwork, it would be hard not to run into Xiao Yingming. Though retired from civil engineering, as soon as the master first called out for help relieving the 8/8 disaster victims, Xiao jumped at the opportunity to give.
The fatigue from a paid job and from volunteering is quite different. At work, you are stressed out and worn out completely. Here, you relish and enjoy the effort you put in.
Effective communication is very important. We're always alert of the construction progress and therefore what we need to do. We're decisive but thorough.
With Chen Jingtai leading them, these 8 construction